Hi YouTube. I thought I would send a video about what's going on with me. Two of my closest neighbors have moved or are moving. One moved yesterday and the other one is moving next week. I am so sad about it because they are the only two in my building that are religious, like me. There are people in the building that keep Shabbat. But these two particular families are families that, are like me. Like I would borrow from them and eat their food in their house. And they're moving, so I'm really sad about that. It's interesting because I just spoke about moving and looking for another place. In Israel, people move around a lot. If you buy a place, then you tend to stay where you are. The way they choose an apartment in Israel, most Israelis, is different than maybe someone from Chutz La'aretz. We always think about like, where will our kids go to school? We'll think about where's the Beit Knesset? We'll think about the synagogue, or we'll think about our neighbors and things like that. And Israelis don't necessarily think like that when they get ready to buy. They hold their money up and they find wherever in the country they can afford with the money they have. Not even caring so much about the size, because in Israel everybody adds on to their apartment. But these two particular people are renting, so they're moving. And I didn't upload the pictures yet of different apartments that I saw. I'll probably do it much later because I know that I'm going to visit other apartments in different parts of the country. So one day I'll upload that of what some of the apartments look like. But my neighbor next door to me, her apartment is exactly like mine, except she doesn't have a yard. And her landlord, just to go to show you how people take advantage of you, when she moved in her apartment, she was paying 3,500 shekels, right? For a 4-room apartment. 4-room, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4-room, which is 3 bedrooms and a living room and kitchen, and I think she had 2 bathrooms like me. She has a bathroom and a half. So anyway, she's paying 3,500 when she moved in. Following year, the landlord comes to her and say, I'm raising the rent an extra 300 shekels. So she had to pay 3,800. Third year come along, the landlord says to her, I'm raising your rent to 4,000, right? And at this point, my neighbor already was having problems with the neighbors downstairs because they do make a lot of noise, and the neighbor downstairs does not like that so much. So there's always like arguing about sleep time, which usually in Israel people say the time to sleep is, or quiet time in Israel is between hours of 1 and 4. It's the hottest part of the day in the country, and people sometimes take advantage of that, but most people work, so they don't take advantage of that. But on Shabbat, it's really quiet between 1 and 4 o'clock in a house. You really hear nothing outside. Anyway, so she moved, but I was saying to her when she told me this, I was like, you should have said something to your landlord. I pay 4,200 for my apartment, and I have 4.5 room, plus I have a 5.5 room, I'll say, and I have a chutzir. A yard. I have a yard, and we're getting a new mirpeset. My landlord is awesome because as we were thinking about moving, I think I mentioned before, my landlord is going to lower our rent so that it's not so high, and because he likes us, he wants us to stay. So anyway, so she realized like her landlord was taking advantage of her. First of all, that she raised the rent 300 shekels more a month, and she didn't do anything new to the apartment to require that large amount of money a month. So she lost a good tenant, and the apartment's going to be empty until she finds someone. And what else? Another friend of mine is moving back to the States. She's someone that's been having a difficult time here in Israel. She feels racism here, or she feels like she doesn't, I don't know, just whatever. But I have this thing about people moving back to the States from Israel. if you've only lived in one city in the country and you didn't make it or it wasn't great for you and you go back, I don't think you gave it a good try. That's just my opinion. I think that America has such a hold on you that you need to go back to the old country. So they're going back, but they're also going back because she said like they have like some kind of business deal they want to get started or whatever there. But she wasn't happy, so she's going back, and that's really sad. And when I know people who I could tell, like when people that complain or are unhappy or whatever, and they always talk about, well, America was this and America was that and America. I don't put too much into them because I'm like, I can't. It's emotionally draining for me to become close with people and then they go back. A dear friend of mine lived here, and I've known her for years, and she actually was already in Israel when I came. They lived in a very wealthy area in Jerusalem. Every time I went there, I felt like I had to like really go very presentable, very dressed up, like very American, like dressed, you know, to go to that part. And I never felt comfortable because that's not me anymore. I'm not really trained to look like the Joneses or live like the Joneses or anything like that. So anyway, they lived in that area. And they were here. And then America went through like a downward spiral with the economy. And her husband's money was really affected by it. And they only wanted to stay in that area, which is Shari Chesed. So anybody tell you to move to Shari Chesed or Rehavia? No. Very American, very expensive, probably the most expensive neighborhood in Jerusalem. And that's where they lived. So they went back. They went back because they couldn't really afford the kind of lifestyle that they wanted in that neighborhood. So they went back. I think people that really want to live in Israel and want to consider Israel as their country and they're immigrants and they want to stay will not see themselves as not making it in one city and then go back to the States. They won't make it in one city. They'll move to a different city. Doesn't work in that city, they'll move to another city or they'll move to a different neighborhood or whatever. Like this is it. They should treat Israel the same way we would treat it in the States. You work in, say, Indiana, and there's no jobs in Indiana. You're going to move to, say, California, Texas. You're going to move to another state for a job. You're just going to do that. And I can understand that people don't do that here in Israel. They just go back to America. So it really, really bothers me. And I don't know what's going to be with us. I mean, we're here in Israel, and we're not going anywhere. But I'm just thinking, like, God forbid I had to go back to the States. I don't know what I would do. I don't know where I would live. I don't know how I would manage financially, medically, for my kids, educational for my kids. I just can't see it. I think in America it's all about like materialism and who has what, and you have to be like everybody else and have this and have that, and I'm just like, oh, I can't believe people go back for that. I just can't. So it's really a bummer. So many people move. So many people move. Oh, and those two people that are moving to a different place, neither are American. One is Israeli and the other one's from Mexico. Her family's from Mexico. They used to live in Beersheba and they did not like it. And then they moved to Jerusalem. They love it here, even though everybody has to work for them to live how they live. But I don't think anybody thought about going back to Mexico when they didn't make it in Beersheba. I think it's just maybe Americans and people from England maybe might do that. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a real big bummer for me because I become attached to people and they go back or they move to a different part of the country. And I try and maintain those relationships with the people that move to different parts of the country, which hence all the traveling that I did. Anyway, I just want to talk about moving and cost of living and what some people do versus some people doing the cop-out of going back to America. I'll probably get a lot of flack from that. I'm not even sure she's part of my channel. And if she is, I love you. But I just want to tell you, I don't like people going back to the States. But Anyway, I don't like that people go back to the States. Not that I don't like people. I don't like them to go back to the States. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching my channel. Please like and subscribe.